Good morning, good afternoon, in whichever time zone you are. Welcome to the Decoding Data Science podcast. We have a special guest today, Mr. Koo. I have known him personally on LinkedIn from quite some time. We are part of the Guild support group. We have met physically on GITEX event. He is one of the LinkedIn top voice, and he wears various hats. It is not fair for me to give a fair introduction to what he's doing currently. So over to you, Koo. Just quickly give a quick background about what you are doing right now. What is your specific journey, and then we can take it forward from there.
Sure. Thanks. Firstly, thanks, Asha, for having me here. So just a quick introduction about myself. So I'm spent about 2 decades already in the space of data, all the way from data science to artificial intelligence. So how I describe myself now is you can see. So during the daytime, what I do is I help companies to build up capabilities. So when I say capabilities means it could be, for instance, helping with the use cases, helping with the tech stack, helping with the talent development, and so on and so forth. So that's what I do during the day. So during the day, I'm a consultant, I'm a mentor, I'm a trainer, and so on and so forth. That's why I wear a lot of hats during the daytime. So what I do is during the nighttime, for the nighttime, what I do is I build tech communities over here. In fact, recently I just started an entrepreneurial community as well. Long story short, so during the nighttime, what I do is I build communities, I build ecosystem. I try to have a ecosystem that can help support data work, data opportunities, and also entrepreneurial opportunities as well recently. So that's what I do during the nighttime. And if your uh, audience are wondering whether I sleep, the answer is I do sleep. And when time permits, right, what I'll do is I will usually read up quite a fair bit on. So this recent in the recent years, I'm quite interested in this word intelligence because of the emergence of artificial intelligence. And so I'm quite keen to understand a bit more like what is human intelligence, what's machine intelligence, what are the kind of like advantage that they have, and what's the kind of constraints that they face as well. And probably if I say if just human and machine may not be the case, but I think I'm also quite keen on understanding like animal intelligence because I think for most of us who are in this artificial intelligence world, right, we also will understand that some of the algorithms are actually designed based on animal behavior and how they actually seek solutions and so on and so forth. Yeah, so that's what I do throughout the day. And of course, I get invitation to go on podcasts, and this is where it gives me an opportunity to share with a lot more people. So again, thanks very much, Akshat, for having me here.
Great. So now, thanks a lot. You have over 19 plus years of experience in this AI and data science field.
Mm.
How was your approach involved? And what has been the most significant milestone in your career?
Oh, so here's something very interesting. I started off as a researcher in application stats. So during this period of time, what I did was I did a lot of social science kind of modeling, especially in education. Um, and the research team that was involved in my what they do is they look at social economic status versus the kind of education results that they get, and so on and so forth. So that kickstart sort of my journey in modeling. But even before that, I think I started off very differently from most of the other people in this field. So most of the people in this field probably come from like maybe statistics, maths, com science, and so on and so forth. But I actually started off with an economic degree. So my degree is actually in economics. And that's where I have some background in modeling like econometrics and so on and so forth. So that's how I did. But then I went on to the bank. I went to become a risk analyst in the banks, in the local banks over here in Singapore, since I'm stationed over here. And what I did was I did a lot of credit risk modeling and stuff like that. That actually I would say is a milestone for me. Why is that the case? Is because I actually get to see how data is being used in the real in the real world. When I say real world means the commercial world lah. Like for instance, this is where then I get to understand like, oh, how dirty the data can get, how do we actually overcome this type of like dirty data, and how do we solve problems. And when we solve problems, right, we don't only maybe just pause at the modeling stage, but we also go beyond that. Like for instance, we need to understand whether the model is actually performing well, what are the business process that we need to design to support the model decision, and so on and so forth. So that was a pretty interesting time, but unfortunately, it's very industry specific. So, which is good because I then happened to go into back into academic again, doing not really research, but this time around I actually help out in a professional master's degree. And what I did was, I actually have to talk to various industries. So I get to see a wide variety of industry, right? How they actually use data, what are the use cases that they have, and also the problems gets bigger, gets more variety, more various. There's a lot more various use cases, and I supervise the students on the projects as well. So that actually also was another milestone for me because it opened up my horizon much wider and so on and so forth. And then after that, what happens is I got quite a few requests that says, hey, cool, can you maybe come out and help with training? We need to have someone to build the capabilities, and so on and so forth. So I got that kind of request, and I was also looking for bigger challenges as well. And training was something I was also quite keen on, especially I started in 2007 for conducting training and so on. So long story short, this is my whole journey, and these are some of the milestones. And in fact, I would say it's quite exciting, and I'm very lucky that I can commit my whole career actually into data and AI. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And looking at your profile, you emphasize a lot in building internal capabilities through training, consulting, and mentoring.
Mm.
Can you share some of the approaches that has transformed businesses and led them to continuously leverage their data effectively?
Okay. Uh, so so what happens is during the training and consulting with a lot of folks, right? Uh, I start through the conversation with the participants and so on and so forth. I start to realize that actually most of them come back to me again even after the training session, and they were telling me that, oh, cool, I learned all these technical skills and so on and so forth already, right? But when I go back, these are the kind of problems that I meet. And then I do not know how to apply what you say because for most of us who have done data, we know that this is not a standard procedure. It's not like you just follow A, B, C, D, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, every use cases are very different from each other. That's the market that they serve, the revenue model that we have to work with, the regulations, and so on and so forth. So this is where people start to ask, hey, who can we have some mentoring? Can we have some consulting so that it helps to internalize what they have learned, and what they want to apply to their individual projects that they face, and so on and so forth. So I would say this is something I think that's lacking in a lot of organization, and that is the sort of what do you do after training? Um, so what do you do after training, and how can we then help to internalize the capabilities? I mean, you impart already, right? But if at the end of the day, if the person only understand what's the tools inside the toolbox, but is not still able to use the tool to fix the problem, then it's still going to be a problem. Yeah. And especially, I think a lot of organizations committed so much resources to training already, right? They would definitely love to have to gain some ROI back, return investment back from their training. And this is where that's why I kind of will propose to any of my clients, right, that or after the training, right, I would say please budget also for mentoring and consulting so that I can go on the ground and be very specific in how I guide them to solve the problem with the data. Yeah.
Yeah, so one question, follow-up question for this is, according to what you're seeing specifically in Singapore, are
Mm,
companies looking to hire external consultants to do a specific AI use case, or
mm.
they are backing on the internal resources, giving them some trainings or upskilling them? What is the trend that you are seeing firsthand?
I think okay. Singapore government is quite interesting because we have a lot of schemes. We actually Singapore government actually have a lot of schemes, right, to encourage companies to build up the capabilities. Uh, and of course, as for how those schemes are being implemented and all these, there's other details as well, lah. So generally speaking, our Singapore companies over here are encouraged to how to increase the data capabilities up, whether be it for through consulting and all this. So it's very much dependent on how the companies look at it, lah. Whether companies are keen to uh engage a consultant and so on and so forth. Now, unfortunately, the other thing is also most of the time they will prefer a consultant that is from a bigger company, from a bigger brand names and so on and so forth. So people like me who's more of running a boutique consulting firm and all this, right, then we will have to spend a lot more time trying to build the relationship and the trust level up with the companies over here as well. But generally speaking, companies are receptive lah, but of course there are other factors involved in how they decide which consultant they will actually hire. Uh,
Great. Now coming to your expertise in the full process of data value extraction from
mm,
collection to governance, which is very, very important, and then
yeah.
implementation. What
Mm.
strategies do you find most effective for turning insights into a measurable business outcomes?
This is actually a very interesting question. I wouldn't say there's a strategy involved here, but I think it really is dependent on what kind of question the organizations want to ask about their data. And I will say at the end of the day, how the organization asks the question will then lead to how much value they can get from the data. So if they ask good questions or they know how to probe and dissect the challenge that they have in front of them and then turn them into good questions and using these good questions, right, then we go into collecting the data, cleaning up the data, using algorithms to actually solve the problem. So at the end of the day, it's quite interesting. Through my 2 decades of work over here, right? Initially, I thought that data is actually very important. Data is good, so we need good quality data in order to be able to answer business question. But as the time goes by, right, I start to realize actually what is more important is asking good questions. I think it's something that I believe you posted before, from what I remember. One of your LinkedIn posts, you mentioned that about asking good questions is very important if you want to be able to get any value from data. Yeah.
And now coming to one question, a follow-up question is,
Mm,
many companies, many come and ask, they want to do something in generative AI space,
mm,
but they don't factor in the budget, because if you know, if you want to build some application, is it actually needed, and
mm,
the budget, because it's not cheap to run LLMs. So
mm.
how do you justify this for clients about how they can make a AI uh, roadmap where they have to also justify the dollars spent to run
Mm.
these LLMs?
But I would say same thing. Go back again to what's the use case. I'm a strong believer in value. That means what's the value that we are getting from doing from using the technology. So in this case, it's LLM or generative AI models. So once you have a very good idea about the value, the second thing you probably any organization should try to find out a bit more, right, would be the cost. Now, for me, how I look at cost, right, is one dimension of looking at cost, right, is both the short term and the long term. So short term means setting up. How what is the IT stack that you need? What's the talent that you need? What's the business process that you need, right, in order to support this? So that's what you do in the short term. And in the longer term, right, will be one single word, and that is the word maintenance. So taking the short term and the longer term together, you get the full cost of it. Then you have the value as well. And I will always go with make sure that the value is greater than the cost. Now, of course, all this is on paper first. I mean, these are something is on paper first. In actual situation itself, then maybe it may not be the case because there may be some things that you may not anticipate and so on and so forth. So this is what I would suggest also after you have a very good idea what's the value, what's the cost, and you think that, okay, based on these two numbers that you have, you think that it's a go ahead, right? Do not go ahead full steam, but actually try to do proof of concept. And at the proof of concept stage, right, try to manage the cost immediately also as well, so that you don't spend a lot of money for a proof of concept. So naturally, next question most people will ask is that, so how do we do that? How do we make sure, how do we actually reduce the cost of, for proof of concept, right? So this is again where I would strongly suggest having a consultant to help with the advisory, help with the giving some guidance and guidelines and all this, right, on how to manage the cost. So it could be where the consultant will say, oh, maybe why not you try this technology small scale first, then maybe it may be able to meet your requirement. And let's say if you want to operationalize this proof of concept, right, maybe we can consider getting an intern to do it and have someone to guide the intern on how to do it as well. So at least the cost is not that high. And from another perspective, right, the intern also gets something in return because the intern also gets some knowledge transfer from the consultant. That's one. Second thing is the intern also gets some uh, project under his or her belt as well. So this is, I think, something I would suggest for most of the clients that I speak to lah. So value, cost, and start small with a proof of concept. Yeah.
Great, great. So, one more thing, seeing your profile, you do a lot of research. So, your research interest spans across data science and AI capabilities. AGI is something that is we are all are talking about, and smart
Mm,
cities. So,
mm.
how do you envision the role of AI and data science in enhancing the standard of living in smart cities?
Okay, so it's really interesting now. So during my research on smart cities and how do you use data to make it better, right? Actually, there are actually many different ways of how we look at standard of living. No? Uh, like for instance, even like access to toilet, right? Access to toilet or where's the nearest toilet and all this can be part of standard of living for certain countries and cities and so on and so forth. So that's one possible dimension. Another dimension could be like, for instance, maybe the happiness index. I think we hear that quite a lot for all the different countries as well. Um, so if you ask me, I would say probably data and AI has a hand in most of these dimensions. But to actually implement them and sort of consolidate them right into building a smart cities where the standard of living is actually quite high can be bit of a challenge when we look at it. So it's a very similar problem to how we look at when we say AI governance and all this, right? How do we build equity? How do we build equality into the whole thing, the whole issues of AI governance and so on and so forth. So actually pretty interesting over here, but from the if you look further deep into it, right, there's also quite a lot of intricacies involved that may actually conflict with each other um, altogether. But regardless, right, I probably have digressed a bit over here. I'm still quite optimistic that data and AI can be used to increase the standard of living, no matter how you look at it. It could be used for hygiene, it could be used for learning, it could be used for smart houses, um, and so on and so forth. I think the promise, the promise and the premise is still there. It's just that we're waiting for technology to catch up, and also waiting for. So when I say waiting for technology to catch up, it's not that technology cannot do it. It's more like probably technology is not at a commercially feasible level yet. For some of them, from what I see, yeah.
Amazing. So, what now? This is a question I asked to all my data scientist friends regarding the right now the generative AI that is booming.
Mm,
What are the governance and regulations that are important? Because
mm,
what we see right now as a practitioner,
mm,
technology is good. It is doing a lot of amazing things, but it is also causing a lot of downsides, risks.
yeah.
Cybersecurity issues that are
Mm,
happening, deep fakes, voice cloning.
mm,
So, according to you as a practitioner, how do you think that this can be tackled in a more professional way? Because
mm,
what is happening that these technologies are now in hands of anyone,
mm,
open
mm,
source, that they can start using it to do destructive things as well.
mm.
So, according to you, what are the things as a practitioner or as a thought leader, communities and we can do to minimize this issue or have a proper, secure system to use these technologies for the betterment and not for harming the society?
Okay, so it's an interesting question that I've been pondering actually for the past 1 year, at least. Why is that so? Is because I'm actually thinking of this concept called trustable AI. Okay, so a quick thing over here lah. So I was just saying that actually what I'm a strong believer in, right, is okay, I don't believe in AI machine ethics. That means you're building ethical AI machines. So I'm not a believer in that one. Um AI governance, I think, is needed. I'm not saying no, because governance at the end of the day is needed to enhance best practices and also try to reduce abuse, which is what we are seeing right now. Like the different scenarios that you're describing just now, that AI being abused and so on and so forth. We still need those kind of governance over there to make sure that at least generally the 99% of the people don't abuse AI. But I do believe that at the end of the day, AI governance is more on the regulators and the compliance. But business also have a role. Business also have a role in using AI well, and this is where I believe in trustable AI. That at the end of the day, businesses should build AI that people can trust. Now, trust is actually still a very big word. And of course, if you were to discuss about trust at the end of the day, right, definitely a few hours you can spend on just discussing on what trust alone. But at the end of the day, if you really want to increase the benefits of building AI and using AI for the benefits of humanity and all this, businesses at the end of the day should look at building trustable AI that the consumers can trust. Yeah, I think that's something to look at. The other thing is also coming back to your question again, right? I believe at the end of the day, you can't stop a bad actor from using AI, from abusing AI. You can't stop that. I think the best form of defense at the end of the day is each of us individual. How do we protect ourselves from the abuse of AI? I think given the fact that the tools are now made so easily available and so on and so forth. So how do we protect ourselves? I think this is something that we have to ask ourselves really lah. Uh, and also be able to think critically any information that comes into you, right? Whether this is true or not. So I think at the end of the day, I would say it's up to us individual to be able to protect ourselves in this age of AI where it can be abused. And and, and also something very, I will put it in quotes, interesting also as well, and that is where in the older days, so to speak, in the older days, right, any technology or tools will be abused by the bad actors for sure. But in this particular case, where AI comes in, right, AI actually now help these bad actors to scale up,
Yes.
which is even worse, which is even worse, unfortunately. And that means that it can actually impact a lot more people, which also means that at the end of the day, you cannot request that the government protect you. You cannot request for other people to protect you because of the scale and the impact that it can bring. So at the end of the day, I go back again and it is up to individuals to be able to protect ourselves. And then I think most of your audience may ask, so what's the first step, right? In order to protect yourself, increase your AI literacy, understand how AI works. And then from there, you know how to build a solution or a few solutions right, to protect yourself. Yeah.
Because this is very alarming, that if you, in India specifically, the
Hmm.
cyber crime or the cyber frauds that happen has increased the 10 times the number of cyber crimes that have been reported.
Yeah.
Many of the cyber crimes don't even get reported. If it is less than 5,000 INR, it is a small amount. But
Hmm.
if the number of has 10 times increased in 2024, in the last 4 months, there was a report by the Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center.
Hmm.
And this is, and as you said, right, the bad actors are getting these tools, accelerating uh, the uh, the way they are doing it, scaling it up to multiple
Giving up.
people
Yeah.
using technology, which is very risky. So
Yeah.
as a consumer, it's very, as you said, you need to be aware. Before
Hmm.
clicking anything, you need to be 100% sure, make sure that the emails that is coming are from the genuine ID. Don't click anything that you don't know. Don't respond to any email offers or anything
Hmm.
that is there. And it
Yeah.
is more important nowadays because the scams have increased and getting more and more personalized than before.
Yes. Uh, Personalized is one thing. The other thing is, so I was also just talking to another friend of ours, of mine, right? We were also saying, actually, these days, if you look at it in the past, right? As long as you probably hear someone who's speaking in broken English, you tend to know that this guy is maybe a foreigner. And then you probably may not even want to continue with the phone call. You probably will say that, oh, I think it's very likely case it's going to be a scam, something like that. Okay. But then now with generative AI and real time, so to real time translation and even like real time creation of any voices and all this, right? Anyone where their native language is not English, right, can now speak perfect English, no problem at all, because the translation can be done almost immediately. It's just a matter of computing power, which means that actually the awareness of scam may not be increased so easily really because of AI also as well. Yeah.
This is the amazing. Now coming to about your belief in communities, because I have seen
Hmm.
that you were building communities in Singapore. So what were the key factors that contributed to its success, and what advice do you have for building a thriving data science and AI community?
I wouldn't say advice. I think this is based on past experience. So I as noted by you, right? So I built up this community over here called Data Science FG, which is for the past 10 years already. So I think we're coming to our 11 year altogether. So I would say actually based on the experience, right? How to build a good community at the end of the day is you have to ask yourself what's your value proposition. It's not unique selling point. It's not unique selling point, but what's your value proposition? What kind of value proposition can you provide to the community? So for my case, for data science SG, right, the value proposition that we are looking at is providing I would say, unadulterated content. Okay, so unadulterated may not sound very positive, but what I'm trying to say is we're trying to give people the real picture of what data is about or what certain algorithm is about, and not have any marketing messages being sort of tied to it, and so on and so forth. So we want to give our audience, our community, right, the no BS kind of look at what data is really about, and not painted with rosy pictures, or have our audience to look through a rose tinted glasses on what data is. We want to give the actual picture of what uh, data science is about, what the profession actually entails. So maybe like if you go for a boot camp, to be fair, most of these like boot camp or training programs, even I myself will just tell you the good stuff because we want you to join. We want you to join the program. But at the end of the day, it's up to individuals to really find out that whether, hey, if you want to be a data professional, is it something suitable for you? Is it something suitable for your character? Um, so this is where the community comes into picture. So that's how I will envision the community that I build, to be able to give someone the true picture, the real picture, without any marketing message attached to it, and then really see for yourself, this is a job for you or not. So that's one thing. That's one thing we're looking at. So content for the community is very important. So it's something that I curate as far as possible, as much as possible. Make sure the content is something useful for the community. Of course, the other one is also be able to create networking opportunities. Networking opportunities for the community as well. Because at the end of the day, let's say for instance, some of the community participants, they realize that, okay, yes, I want to be a data scientist, or want to be a data engineer or ML engineer, right? The next thing you probably will be, after they have start learning about it already, right? The next thing you would like to do is, hey, where are the job opportunities? So again, this is something I hope to provide through my community also as well. So there are, as much as possible, we also have some like networking opportunities and platform, which usually in this few years, usually happens after the talk, after the meetup, and so on and so forth, where there were a few of us, right, who will stay back after the talk and then maybe go for dinner after, which is, so dinner after is around what time? It's about maybe 8 plus 9 plus already. So that's how uh I sort of put in quotes, created the networking platform for the community participants. So all in all, I would say, at the end of the day, anyone who wants to start maybe your own community and all this, like, always ask yourself what's your value proposition you want to provide to the community. So that's one. I think second thing is also, to be fair, most of the communities are built. There's no membership involved. It's just a group of people who are very passionate about the technology, who wants to understand and master the technology, right? Come together, learn together, and so on and so forth. So you also have to ask yourself, if you want to start a community, right, what is it in for you also? What kind of benefits are you going to get from the community building? Because otherwise, if you're just going to build a community without even thinking about what benefits you're going to get, right? To be fair, the community, I think, will not last long. Will not last long, because you're not getting what you want, and you're sort of doing it for free and so on and so forth. So it won't last long. So people like you, Ashad, who has already built such a large community and so on and so forth, actually I'm quite I respect the kind of effort that's needed. There's a lot of effort needed to actually do that and then consistently put out content for the community. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's like a full-time job right now, building the
Yeah.
community, because I know
Mm.
a lot of people in my journey, they have started something and they could not continue, because if it is not your full-time job, a community and this, then you get
Mm.
pulled into different priorities, like which is paying your bills, right? Your job, your
Yeah.
consulting. So that is the reason why we are something different, because we gave community as a priority. We are
Mm.
building the community, and this is our the center point of what we are doing. in the academy consulting phase about creating awareness. That is the
Mm.
reason why we try to do these type of podcasts, lot of online events, physical workshops, networking that you mentioned, right? Connecting
Yeah.
the right people. And one thing that I was just discussing with few other community builders
Mm.
is you need to many people get benefit from the community. They get a job, they get a business, and then they
Mm.
don't become active. They leave the community, like they after they getting the first job or getting the first offer, then they don't give back to the community. And what we see that if you want to be part of the community, you need to keep coming, because
Yes.
as you know, AI and data science is such a field that it is ever evolving. Every month there is something new that you need to
Yep.
learn, you need
Yep.
to understand. So people will understand slowly the importance of being part of small communities and being active in it. And it
Mm.
really helps, because right now, and specifically in our space, the tech field, where things are moving so fast,
Mm.
regulations, uh, governance, new technologies, how we can integrate it.
Yep.
And so now coming to this question, because you have been mentoring a lot, you have conducted over 2,000 man hours of training and mentoring in various institutes and programs. What
Uh,
has been your most memorable experience, and how do you approach developing future data science and AI leaders? I know you have talked about it in bits and pieces, but if you want to summarize this, it will be
mm.
great.
Um, yeah, maybe let's talk a bit more about what are the memorable experiences lah. So memorable experiences, I would say at the end of the day, I would strongly encourage anyone who participate in training programs, be it for mine or be it for maybe even Achat yours and all this, right? Do give feedback. Uh, and especially good feedback. So when I say good feedback means that try to give constructive feedbacks like how will you improve? How can we improve our training? How can we improve our consulting? I think those are feedback that helps a lot because why is that so right? Let me explain a bit more here. Lah. So I kind of feel that someone would have paid a lot of attention to your course if he or she has given you a constructive feedback. Uh, so that to me is something I'm very happy with. Uh, you can give me if you can give me a constructive feedback, it means that you have been listening to me. It means that I have made an impact on I made an impact on you. Hopefully it's positive. I don't dare to say that it is a positive feedback, but hopefully it's a positive feedback. Um and also if let's say if the trainer has performed well, the trainer has actually really made things very easy to understand for you, has also managed to the flow of the program well, the explanation of certain tough concepts or very complex concepts very well, and you can immediately grasp it, right? Please also give some feedback on those as well. Not only just feedback on the things that can be improved, but feedback on the things that has actually done very well. Uh, why is that important again, right? I think for most of us, especially Asha and me, right, who have really worked in AI, right, there's this thing called reinforcement learning. You want to reinforce the good stuff. So give us the feedback on the good stuff also as well. So that will also give us a lot more encouragement in continuing to do what we are doing, which is training and consulting. So I will go back to the question again. So what's the memorable experience? Like the memorable experience is when I get constructive feedback and also feedback on what I've done well. Those are the ones that really create a lot of positivity for me. A lot of positivity for me. So those are the memorable experience. Um, how would I approach developing future data science and AI leaders? Uh, I probably will go with the word career. uh, the word career. How can I at the end of the day, I would say that how can I help my participants, my audiences, right, during the training and all this, right, to understand this career very well, enjoy the career, that means enjoy the job that they're doing, uh, and also how to improve going forward. I think these are things that I will probably take as an approach in developing future data science and AI leaders. Uh, and be more encouraging, and also try to give them more sort of customized kind of guidelines, because I think every one of us, our background is very different. Even though you may come from the same university, right? But our background at the end of the day is very different. So how I would approach, right, would be to give a bit more customized, a bit more personalized kind of feedback to help them build up their career, and also build up their passion and motivation in this career as well. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing advice. Now coming to one last question that I asked a lot of my guests are, uh, especially I am talking to a lot of new generation people who are who are you can say confused by the things that are happening. Many of them ask me that do I still need to learn how to code Python? These are the
Mm,
type of questions I'm hearing at a regular basis. So, according to you being a thought leader, and what advice do you have for
mm,
learners, especially entering this field, this tech
mm.
field? When I talk about the general tech, not only data science area, the whole tech field, which is being impacted now by these technologies, and how can they be successful as well?
Okay, so I would say that a few things over here first. I think I would say start learning. Don't think too much. Don't think too much. Start learning. Go onto the internet, look for maybe videos, look for materials, right? And start learning about the field. Once you have some understanding about the field that you want to go in ready, right? The other thing is hands-on. Do some coding, do some programming. Uh, why is that important? Is because you also have to ask yourself whether you enjoy coding or not. Enjoy coding? Do you what aspect of coding do you enjoy? What aspect of coding do you don't also enjoy as well? I mean, let's face it, there are certain things that we don't enjoy. Like for instance, debugging is one of them. You talk to any programmers, like debugging, the first thing they will say is debugging. That that's not something that they enjoy. But the problem, the interesting thing is this: most of them, right, you will say debugging is something that creates a lot of frustration. But once you solve it, right, it creates a lot of satisfaction. So you can see the frustration and the satisfaction are like more or less on par over here. Okay, so one good question that you were asking Arshad, and that is, hey, now with Gen AI and all this, do we still need to learn coding or not? The answer is actually yes. I would still say the answer is yes, because how do you know that this Gen AI is not hallucinating and giving you the wrong code? So you still, at the end of the day, you still need to learn coding, so that at least you can be in a position to understand whether the Gen AI or the LLMs over here is it hallucinating? Is it giving you the right codes and so on and so forth? So I think this is where the role changes as well. Last time used to be where you do coding. Now it has changed where you now do curation. You curate on the codes. You create on the codes, or whether this is the codes that you want to do it. Because at the end of the day, I think both of us will understand, right? When we do coding, there's a difference between coding for project and coding for enterprise. Coding for enterprise means that there's also the need to understand about maintenance and scalability when you do the coding. So that's something probably can learn later on when you get into a job lah. But for now, I think for most of us, we need to be able to code for the project. So that's one thing to think about. So start learning coding also as well. Is to me is still needed from what I see. The other thing is also start working on your project. Start working on your project. And why is that important? Is because as you work on the project, you also start to realize where you are inadequate and where you are strong in also as well, which is very good for career building later on. So it's good for people to start working on project if you really want to get into the field. The other thing is this, I think a common question I think most people will ask, right, would be, hey, should I go for a boot camp? Should I attend Arshad's training and so on and so forth, or should I go and self-learn? I mean, these options are always available. I would say it really depends on what's your learning style. Uh, it could be where if your learning style is something where you like some structure involved and you like to learn from a practitioner like the both of us, then maybe a boot camp will be something of consideration. Because boot camps where the trainers are practitioners, they will have already properly curated the material. And those materials are the ones where you know that, since it's created by practitioners, but you know that it is needed by the industry. It's needed by the industry. So you can quickly jump in, and master the tools as compared to, let's say, if you self-learn, right, there's going to be a lot more trial and error involved. There's going to be a lot more trial and error involved in order to pick up the tools and everything else. So at the end of the day, don't be averse to sign up for training programs. But also don't say that, save money and all this, right? Let's do self-study instead.
Amazing. So we are coming to a close of our podcast. I will be sharing your LinkedIn profile as well in the description. Do you have any closing thoughts, and how can people get in touch with you to know more about you as well?
Oh, okay. So to get in touch with me, like what Asha you mentioned, right? So you can go to my LinkedIn profile. The other thing is also I have a newsletter at Substack. So you just have to look for my full name, then followed by Substack. You should be able to find my newsletter. The newsletter is actually quite interesting in the sense that I call it "Let's Build Intelligence Together." So what I mean by that will be let's build artificial intelligence together. That's one. Second thing is let's become more intelligent together also as well. Yeah, so these are the two places you can look out for. Otherwise, just have a chat with you, Ashad, and Ashad will can bring over to my side, make contact with me. Yeah. Okay,
Thanks a
thank you very
lot.
much, Ashad.
Thanks a lot, and thanks a lot for your time. And hopefully, your insights will really help the community. And talk to you soon when you're back in the UAE region.
Yes. Okay, see you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.